So, hello, Mr. Kawada, sir,
Hello.
and welcome to this interview. Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you. Thank you very much. We appreciate it very much.
Yes.
I understand you will be here in Vienna very soon, on the 22nd of October,
Yes.
at the International Academy for Hara Shiatsu. And
Yes.
we are looking very much forward to this to your workshop. You will be
Yes.
teaching about the Extra Meridians.
Yes.
And but before we come to this, I would like to ask you a few general questions. Yeah.
Yes, please do.
Okay. So on your website, shiatsu-vertreter.com, you have this wonderful sentence, and I'd like to quote it. The interaction of sky-earth gives the harmony to the body and spirit.
Yes.
So is there anything else about this sky-earth giving the harmony to the body and the spirit?
Well, actually, I'm sorry, but we don't say sky. Actually, we say heaven, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, because in Japanese translation, it's more like a heaven and earth, right?
Okay.
And this very idea comes from the I Ching, you know, the Book of Changes.
Okay.
And that is the essence of Oriental philosophy, and I would say medicine also. And because man is between heaven and earth, you see, and we say in Japanese, tenchijin, you know, it's a union of heaven and earth, which makes man possible to live. Because man without heaven and earth, we can't live, because we need to breathe the air, we need to eat, we need to drink. All those things come from heaven and earth, you see. So in that sense, we use that. So man is a microcosm of the heaven and earth, which are the macrocosm. So if we understand our body as a macrocosm, we can understand what is happening in heaven and earth, you know, the bigger picture. So this is why we study our body, our energy flow. And if something goes wrong, that means we are not respecting the heavens, earth, this harmonious relationship.
Okay. So if I understand it, we're talking about the nature of us, of the human beings, being connected to heaven and earth.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Yeah.
This is because this is what our ancient wise people talked about, you know, many 1,000 years ago, 4,000 years old, actually, I Ching book, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So, and sir, what would you say is the essence of your shiatsu, of your Seido Shiatsu?
Yes. You mean what is the essence of your Seido Shiatsu?
Yes.
The essence of your Seido Shiatsu is to, you know, is to enhance our natural immune system that we have got in our body, our natural healing power, you know. And in order to enhance, to activate our immune system, we need to live according to the heaven and earth relationship. And this is why Seido Shiatsu, it's all about, it's not really curing symptoms, but it's more trying to live harmoniously in order to keep our body flowing, you know. And so Seido Shiatsu really promote an idea of preventive medicine. It's not really curative medicine, but it's more because we have got in our inside the body this, natural healing power. And in order to function this natural healing power that we have got, we have to live according to the heaven and earth. That means we have to do the proper kind of breathing and eating proper food, and trying to keep a balanced emotional state of mind, you see.
Okay, that raises an important question, because we are living in quite turbulent times right at the moment, speaking about COVID and so on, and yes. You were just talking about immunity, so how can we with Shiatsu be of help in these times of these problems with the immunity and COVID and so on?
Yes, I think that is a real big challenge, the problem. Because I think in my own interpretation is that this COVID phenomena, it has to do with the imbalance of nature. We are talking about, that our environment, natural environment is being imbalanced, you see. The atmosphere is heating up, and what is happening at the moment are all the fires everywhere, and on the one hand, many places are drying up, and the other part is, inundated, like Germany, Austria, you had terrible inundations, you see. So this is a sign of extreme pattern weather, Mm-hmm. And this, to me, comes from this natural imbalance, that our nature is not kept in balance. And as long as our nature is not kept in balance, we human beings, we live in nature, and we have a problem with this. And so in order to, well, I think that the real big problem, before even talking about Shiatsu, we really need to improve our natural environment. And this comes from the efforts of the international government, you see. They have to really focus on how to improve our environment. And then we can talk about, developing our immune system, because our immune system, according to Oriental medicine, it has to do with the kidney and liver. Mainly kidney and liver organs are very important organs, in order to keep a healthy body, because they're both cleaning and keeping very important metabolic function, you see. And so when we have a problem with our immune system, is that because kidney and livers are not properly functioning. And so we need to improve that. By doing that, we need to improve the quality of the air, quality of the water, all these things. It's really because we are dependent on the natural environment. Without that, you can live, So in your country, you have many wonderful lakes and forests, But, they have to be kept very environmentally clean and right. And because we live that in that, Without that, we can't keep our immune system properly functioning.
Yes. And what could we, as a Shiatsu practitioner, what can we do?
Yes, so we can work on the meridians, we can do all these 12 meridians that we know. And also doing abdominal shiatsu is very important, like your school, Hara Shiatsu school, it's abdominal work, right? Because abdominal, they have all the important vital organs, the kidney, livers, stomach, small intestine, spleen, pancreas, and all these very absolutely important organs are placed in the abdominal region, you see. And the immune system very much comes from the abdominal region. So we need to practice shiatsu onto this area. And of course, we need to do it in the back side of bladder meridian governing vessel, I think are also very important in order to improve our immune system.
Okay, okay. I have found another very interesting sentence in your book, actually, the Essential Shiatsu. Yeah. And I would like to quote again, you write there, but each of us can change. Through Shiatsu, we can support this change in every person by dissolving that suppression, that what suppresses the free flow of energy and mind. So yeah. I would like to ask, is there anything else about this Shiatsu and suppressing the free flow of energy and mind?
Well, I think a lot of the stress is that, the way how our society is run, there's something, the competitions and always trying to, work with all this electronic gadget, so all those things are really damaging our immune system. And so we need to more focus onto our body movement. We do more stretching exercises and eating proper food, and also improving human contact with each other to have more supporting, Shiatsu is very supporting emotionally, psychologically, to each other's need, So,
and maybe also, as I understand, being constantly in a good movement, that like in the Qigong, like where we do in the Qigong, this movement, I think is very important, for instance, for the liver. Yeah. Okay.
Well, the breathing actually, breathing.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. But also have a very positive state of mind, I think it's important to have a very focused, and to think about each other's existence, instead of just thinking about one's own, that we are all interdependent, like, in our organs. So if you look at how our organs functioning, they're all interdependent. And so we need to have the similar kind of thing in our human relationship.
And if I understand it right, to consider us as a whole, not just as the work of the body and the mind, but the whole thing together, and this communication of all the organs together, so that we understand that everything is communicating, as you said.
Yes, I think so. I think, and we, in the ancient text, Yellow Emperor talks about the heart meridians or heart organs, spirit, shin, which plays a very important role, because heart is the unifier of all the vital organs, other spiritual entities, So heart plays a very important role in a spiritual way, Okay. And we have got 8 related shin points, very interesting. We have in the kidney meridian, heart meridian, and governing vessel, and gallbladder, all these 8 shin points, like Shinmon, the heart is heaven, which is a very important gate of the spirit point, Yes,
it's a very powerful point.
Yes.
Yeah. Indeed, yeah. But now, speaking about Shiatsu students, maybe, You will be teaching in Vienna, as I understand, and maybe a little bit for our students. What would you say are the most important issues that a Shiatsu student has to take care of? What is most important for a Shiatsu student? What has he or she to do?
I mean, to put into practice, or to treat people, or in what way?
Maybe more in how should she or he be prepared or prepare herself for the Shiatsu? Because you speak a lot of times about the work that has to be done before we even treat Shiatsu.
Yeah. Well, Shiatsu, in my, because everyone has got different interpretations. Since you're asking me, so I express my own interpretation. That well, Shiatsu is always, to me, is a preventive method, and in order to circulate the energy flow 12 meridians, we need to do the regular stretching exercises. And if it's possible, together with meditation, maybe, And also, I insist the importance of eating right kind of food. The food is a very important part of the body functioning, And so these are the things that, I would emphasize. And doing Shiatsu to treating people is important, because that's what, to help people who have blockages. But also between therapists, they need to work each other. Is very important, because doing Shiatsu, blocks certain areas like lungs and large intestines, because we use thumbs and fingers. And these two meridians are very easily blocked, by working all the time. So we need to be worked at with other partner, the one who does the Shiatsu also, to eliminate the toxins and blockages, especially lung meridian and large intestine meridians, and possibly stomach also. These are very important meridians.
So yes, so if I may repeat, it's about the right movement, the training to do the right movement. It's about the right food, and it's also about meditation, and it's about giving each other Shiatsu.
Yes, I would say giving Shiatsu to each other maybe is more important than meditation.
Okay.
Meditation is important, but Shiatsu is more practical,
yes.
Practicing, pressing. Meditation is more yoga, Zen, Buddhism, it's a bit of a different branch. But yes, if we have time and if we want to feel something, inner emotional things, maybe, the meditation is an important part. But Shiatsu is really doing a more key energy work, like Tai Chi, Qigong, Shiatsu, yoga. They're more in the same families,
Yes. So it's about practicing Shiatsu. Yes.
Yes, practicing, but also receiving from other practitioners.
Yes, that's an important point. Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Very important. Yeah.
Now, sir, Mr. Kawada, you have a long, exciting history with Shiatsu. You studied with Masunaga, Namikoshi, and Isawa. Now, after all these years with this experience, did, in your opinion, Shiatsu somehow change during the time you worked with it? And if yes, and how did it change?
Well, I started, first of all, my father was Shiatsu practitioner, so that's what I got into this world, otherwise, I would never be in this world. But so I watched him, ever since I was a young kid. So how he was practicing, And then after that, yes, then, then I went to Shiatsu school to have a diploma. And this is where I met Masunaga, Namikoshi, and Izawa, and the others, right? In all days, there are a lot of people. I mean, there are very little young people who are doing Shiatsu, learning Shiatsu. Well, I enrolled in Shiatsu school, Namikoshi Shiatsu school, in 1964, in the Olympic year, the year of the Tokyo Olympic, And that time, well, we had during the day class and the evening class. I was attending the day class, of course, and there were maybe 80 people, 80 students, and maybe 70 of them were all elderly people between 50s and 60s, So I was one of the few ones who were very young. So when I enrolled the school, I was a bit shocked, that seeing these elderly people, But of course, then I watched my father always treating elderly people, hardly ever young people. But today, even in Japan, there are a lot of young students who are enrolling in the school. Very little elderly people, But I thought about this for some time. But you see, in old days, Japan, we were very poor. We have been defeated by the war, and so people in my father's period, he suffered a lot, the poverty and, people are very hardworking and they had no leisure time. They had to work all the time in order to live, And so what was so important for the elderly people not get sick, because if they get sick, they go to a doctor and doctor costs money. And so they, they try to keep healthy by doing Shiatsu. And this is why I think there were a lot of elderly people in those days. Nowadays, when I say nowadays, maybe starting from 80s, 90s, there are more and more young people got into this because younger people of today have also a lot of psychological problems, and they have less physical contact. They're doing more brain works. Mm-hmm. And so this is one of the reasons why they got into, they're more attracted more physical work, like Shiatsu and martial art, And this is because in old days, I tell you, there weren't many, really very little young people. So the young people started really invest their energy, I think, around late 70s, something like that. Then more young people got into Shiatsu, But before that, the 60s, until the end of 60s, dominated by the elderly people.
And this situation that more and more young people were getting to Shiatsu, did that influence somehow the style of Shiatsu generally? Has that changed all over these years?
I think more dynamism, dynamic young energy and more creative. The young people have a more quick, fast, good memory, so they're more interested learning the ancient textbooks to understand more, So a lot of young people were impressed, influenced by Masunaga's work because Mr. Masunaga's work is very much into meridians, and Oriental philosophy. So young people are very interested in that. And also Mr. Izawa had that similar approach, And but elderly people, they were really, because their memories are getting bad, and they're more interested to their own to keep preserve the healthy body. They didn't have time to study the other stuff, like Mr. Masunaga. Of course, he was he learned psychology at the university, the philosophy, so he was already very intellectually oriented, In those days, when he got into the Shiatsu school, there weren't many such people, intellectually sophisticated people, Maybe him and Izawa were the two, we used to say the two big brains, So the other elderly people are more practically, doing what they say when it comes to intellectual argument, debating with the acupuncturist, they say, oh, go to Mr. Masunaga or Izawa to explain, So because they couldn't explain, you see.
So there was a little pretty transition that from these people who were more interested in staying healthy, that there came with the young generation came more the psychological aspect of it, as I understand it. Also, as Masunaga was very interested, as I understand, very much into Western psychology. Is that right? Could we say that like this?
I think so. Mr. Masunaga studied Gestalt psychology, by the way, His specialty was Gestalt psychology at the philosophy department. And the fact that he studied a very prestigious university, Kyoto University, that made an impact, in the Shiatsu world, you see, because there weren't many such intellectually oriented people in the Shiatsu world, There were many acupuncturists, because a lot of acupuncturists, they were doctors, you say. There weren't hardly any doctors who did the Shiatsu. They're more interested in acupuncture, because acupuncture had a very strong theoretical backups, They have all the Nanjing, Yellow Emperor, these very important textbooks, were written for the acupuncturists who studied theory and practice together. Because I remember during the lecture that Mr. Masunaga was giving, he always talked about how poor those Shiatsu practitioners when it comes to the theory, they don't understand anything. So he was very pessimistic about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But but later on, you see, then younger people got in, and they're more, because they were more educated, and they understood what he was talking about. And so that's what, they were really, a lot of young people went to, Mr. Masunaga, he taught Nippon Shiatsu School until end of the 60s, and then from 1970 he opened the Yokai Center in Tokyo, and he died 81 or 82, yeah. So his Yokai Center existed 10 or 12 years. It wasn't that long, but before he was teaching also a long time in the Shiatsu school. So when I was Shiatsu school, he was really full-time teacher at the Nippon Shiatsu school, you see. And he maybe was already practicing his own style of Shiatsu at home, but he didn't have a Yokai Center, He started at the beginning of 1970s.
Yeah, and now coming back again to this Shiatsu style, how has if I may ask, how has your style changed over this long period where during you are doing Shiatsu? What would you say? How has it changed, or if at all, has it changed?
I don't know. It's difficult to speak about my own evolution. Well, I realized that actually we have got this our natural healing power, our ability to balance our own body function, as long as we don't really get into serious illness. So I really understood that Shiatsu is more preventive medicine.
Yeah.
Some people think otherwise. Some people say, no, Shiatsu is really treating people, really people who have ailment, sickness, and so we need to treat those people who are suffering from pain, etc. But I'm more interested how do we get into sickness? How we, but most of the times people get in sicknesses are the ones not respecting heaven and earth movement, you see. Either they lack the good quality of sleep, eating terrible junk food, and having a lot of emotional, psychological blockages, you see. So those are the ones that are causing the problem. So if we can rectify them, then I think it's we don't really get into real serious sicknesses like cancer or Alzheimer, all these important diseases. You see.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Because in Japan, we have a very high rate of cancer, because to me, because people are not eating good, proper food, you see. Some people think, oh, Japanese people eat very good, healthy food. That is not true at all. There's a lot of people eat real junk food, really bad food, And also, a lot of them don't do the exercises, and they don't sleep well, those who live in the big cities, So all those things, you see, can make, a real problem later on. Okay. So to me, sleeping is another important factor, extremely important, because as long as we have good quality of deep sleep, our body can recuperate a lot of, from toxins. We can get rid of it, toxin and bad energy blockages, you see.
Okay.
And so this is why I always emphasize the importance of sleeping pattern, how to have because you have a deep sleep, and superficial sleep and a paradoxical sleep pattern, And what we need is get into deep sleep. You see, this is where the real reparation of our body's repairing start doing,
Okay, so maybe coming back to this workshop you are giving in October here in Vienna at the International Academy for Hara Shiatsu about the 8 extra meridians. Could you give us a little bit an insight on or the basics about what the participants will have to expect, or what you will do with the 8 in your 3-day workshop with the extra meridians?
Yes. Well, actually, I have been to Holland for many years, and then I was leaving the Shiatsu school there, and then I had a program there, which is three seminars, each consisting of 3 days, And so first 2 seminars, I do 8 curious vessels, and then the third seminar using application of those 8 curious vessels that are I teach. And so first, I teach people how to recognize where those 8 curious vessels, governing vessel, conception vessels, linking, young linking, in linking vessels, or, they are all of them 8 vessels, you see. And so I teach, very detailed circulation of each vessel, which is connected very closely with the 12 meridians. So there are 12 meridians and 8 curious vessels are very interconnected. They really, you can't separate them. If you understand 12 meridians, you understand very well how the 8 curious vessels are interconnected with these 12 meridians. So well, that's what people say after those who have followed 3 seminars. They say to me very often, now I can understand better the function of 12 meridians.
Okay.
Because they're looking at different angles, you see.
Okay. So that's an interesting point. So by using or by looking at the 8 extra meridians, we get a better insight on the 12 normal meridians.
Yeah, that's what people say. It isn't my interpretation. That's what a lot of the students afterward express.
Well, that's very interesting. And as I said, you will be here in October in Vienna at the International Academy for Hara Shiatsu on the 22nd to the 24th of October. And we're looking very much forward to this. I will be there and I will be very happy to see you there in person. So thank you very much, Mr. Kawada, for the interview. It was really an honor to speak to you. It was very nice, and see you then in Vienna.
Okay, thank you. Thank you
very much.
Asking me questions. Yeah, okay. So thank you very much. Yeah.